Hey guys, what's up? So I tend to I have a lot to do in the mornings. Like I have to feed the dogs and walk the dogs, and do a bunch of stuff like that. So I I tend to just like put a YouTube video or whatever on to listen to in the background while I'm making breakfast and doing all the stuff. And I ran into one this morning about how like if you tax the rich, then they'll just leave the country and like move to Dubai or whatever. And I think that that actually did happen one time. I don't remember. See, like I'm not an economist or anything. I'm not a historian. I don't know what I'm talking about really. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But I think it happened in like the UK or something. But I think that it was like a specific set of circumstances that steered things in that direction rather than the idea of taxing the rich more itself. So there's this argument uh, that I've been hearing lately, tax the rich, but like more specifically, tax them differently, like tax their wealth instead of work, or tax wealth not work, or whatever. And to be clear, I'm not making the argument that 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 is what we need to do. I'm not making really any argument in this video. What I'm saying is that I don't think that the argument against it, like the counter argument that if you tax them more they'll just leave, I don't really think that that argument holds any water. I just don't think that that is what would happen. So to start, that argument to me kind of sounds like one of those things you say when you're trying too hard to make an argument. Like that like that point in an argument where one of the sides is trying way too hard to make their argument. And I think that the reason for that is that people really don't want to punish success. Punishing success, I'm pretty sure it sounds bad to everybody. I don't think anybody really wants to punish success. But so I have a couple of rich friends. They're a couple. They're in their 60s, 70s, that kind of age range. And they're very successful. They're both engineers. Um, and in the past few years, they owned a house already. They sold that house, and uh, with the money that they made from selling that house, they bought a house on a lake. And a few years ago, they bought a plane because the guy wanted to learn to fly. It's like a little two seater. Um, it's cool. He flies it a lot. He really likes flying. And within the past year or so, they bought uh, an RV, a new truck to haul the RV, a new ATV, a new shed. They replaced the boat at the house on the lake because the old boat was didn't work or something. They replaced the dock. I feel like I'm missing something. They bought something else too. They bought a new ATV. I think I said that. But anyway, and and I think that their net worth is probably sitting at around $1 million, somewhere in there. They're not like rich, but like they're what most people I think would consider rich, because I don't think most people could afford all that. Like they're doing pretty well. Um, and when they moved, they had like four storage units or something, and they had to move all of that stuff. And I remember the wife was telling me that She never wanted to move again, and that they had way too much stuff. And like they're not like young, you know what I mean? It's a lot of work. Like I hate moving. It's a lot of work. I think they get I think they get taxed about 50% of their income, about half, and or at least that's what I think. I think if I remember right, she was telling me that once. And honestly, I don't think that if the state decided to tax them more or tax them differently, I don't think they would move. I think that they have too much going on to want to move again, even with, even if they lost more money. Uh, I know that's just one example, but like hear me out. People live where they live for a reason. You know what I mean? People don't just like randomly pick a place and they're like, "Hey, let's just go here." Usually they're like that's where their work is, or that's where their family is, or that's where they've just been for years and years and years. They're used to it. uh like a lot of rich people, quote unquote, have kids, and there's school districts because kids go to school. And like people say that like if you tax the rich more they'll just leave, but like what like hypothetically, what if you were rich and your kid didn't want to leave? Like maybe he or she or they had friends at school and they don't want to move to a different school. Or what if your partner wants to live nearby their mom? Like they don't want to leave their mom, they want to be around their family. Or maybe that's where your work is, um like it wouldn't make a lot of sense to move to a completely different country, possibly, or even just a different state or a different province or whatever. And moving is a pain in the butt, and rich people have a lot of stuff. I think there comes a point, for successful people where they just make so much money that they don't know what to do with it anymore. Like you make enough money to live, right? And then you make enough money to live and have fun with. Like you can buy, you know, a four-wheeler, or, a boat, or a big expensive entertainment system or whatever. But like there gets to be a point where you kind of have everything. Like you don't like there gets to be a point where you start buying stuff you don't even really want that bad because you've already bought all the stuff that you did want that bad. And it's I don't really think that it's that much money. Like I don't think you even need that much money before the average person is pretty much happy, like I don't think that people understand how big these numbers are when we're talking about like millionaires and billionaires and stuff. If you taxed a person who had $1 billion, like 99% of their income, they're still going to be better off than you and your entire neighborhood put together, probably. I don't think that it would be worth it for most people to move to freaking Dubai, because you tax them a little bit more or you tax them a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Because like they're still probably going to be fine. They're not going to lose that much money probably on this, unless you want to tax them a shit ton. And even then, they're still probably going to have plenty of money. And it's moving sucks. Moving is a lot of work, and moving to a different country or whatever is even more work. And there might even be like, depending on where you want to move to, there might even be like language and cultural differences. So I'm not arguing that we should do the economy any which way, because I'm not an economist, but I really don't think that most people would move if you tax them more, because people will really put up with a lot of inconveniences, like before they decide to change their entire life. Like, people stay in apartments where the rent goes up, people stay at places where they have to deal with the HOA, where, the rules change without their consent or whatever, without them agreeing to a new um, arrangement. And like, and I don't think it's even really a question of like whether or not rich people will leave when you raise taxes. I think it's a question of like how many rich people will leave if you raise taxes, because some of them like really probably will. But like, to what degree, Like, I don't think I don't think most of them would, is what I'm saying. Anyway, uh y'all have a good one. Like and subscribe if you like my videos. Every little bit helps. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.